Changes being considered by the government is to add residency as a requirement for a company in the oil and gas sector to be considered as a local company. Here is Gerald Bryan with our lead story tonight.
During the opening of the 2025 Local Content Summit, it was revealed that the government of Guyana is considering making residency a requirement for companies operating in the oil and gas sector to be considered Guyanese-owned. This revelation was made by Local Content Secretariat official Michael Monroe during his presentation.
Is the issue of who is a Guyanese and who is a Guyanese company. As you know, the definition as it stands right now, you have to be, the company needs to be beneficially owned 51% by a Guyanese or Guyanese nationals. And there's also different percentage as to the structural management of the company. And of course, our experience has disclosed that there are companies or there are persons who are engaged in the practice of renting or leveraging their Guyanese nationality as a means to allow foreigners who should be the minority shareholder in this arrangement to more or less beneficially own the company.
Monroe pointed out that the government wants to ensure that persons follow the Local Content Act in both the letter and spirit. He also noted that there are Guyanese engaged in fronting, which would have them using their Guyanese nationality to pose as the face of the company, while the real beneficial owners profit.
We are looking closely at this definition, and we're looking at ways in which we can add more conditionalities as to who is a Guyanese company. And I say this to say, we're exploring, for example, if residency should be an option. So yes, you're a Guyanese, yes, you perhaps live abroad, and you want to play a part in this, and that might be the case. We're exploring, should there be a residency requirement? Should the Guyanese be a participating taxpayer? So these are some of the areas we're looking, because we want to ensure that the true spirit and the true intent of the Act is achieved.
The Local Content Act outlines 40 different service areas that oil and gas companies and their subcontractors must procure from Guyanese and Guyanese-owned companies. To qualify, however, there are some companies that have been using Guyanese as a front for their business, prompting the government to clamp down on this practice. Local content certificates are also issued to companies after a thorough review in order to strengthen the system and certify that this company is, indeed, Guyanese-owned. Gerald Bryan, The Evening News.
The government has reduced the age limit for beneficiaries of the eye testing and spectacles vouchers program, allowing more people to be able to benefit from the initiative. Find out more from Andrew Carmichael.
When the eye testing and spectacles vouchers program was launched in June 2024, it targeted at citizens below the age of 18 and those above the age of 65. On Monday, while speaking at a program to commemorate World Health Day, Health Minister Dr. Frank Anthony announced that the program will now cater for persons from the age of 50 years. The government launched the subsidy program aimed at providing eye health by providing financial assistance for eye tests and spectacles, particularly for vulnerable age groups.
So anybody 50 years and older, you're now eligible for your eye test, and also if you need spectacles, we'll give you an additional voucher so that you can get your spectacles.
Vouchers valued at $2,500 will be provided to individuals needing eye tests, and vouchers worth $15,000 will be available to help cover the cost of acquiring spectacles. Meanwhile, while speaking at a program which was held at the Rosignol Health Center, the health minister pointed out that the government has also launched a $10,000 universal health voucher program.
We want every Guyanese to be able to come and get some simple lab work done. And we know sometimes people don't want to come to the government labs, so you have an option. We have enrolled every single laboratory that is accredited in Guyana. We have enrolled them. And so you don't have an excuse. Any lab you can go to now. All you got to do is take the voucher, and you can go to any one of these labs, and they'll be able to do some tests for you.
Among the tests which can be done are a PSA, which is a test done to find out if a man has prostate cancer, HbA1c, which is a blood test that measures the average level of the blood sugar over the past 2 to 3 months by determining the amount of glucose attached to red blood cells, providing a snapshot for long-term blood sugar control.
This is a very good test. It's actually the gold standard to check to see if somebody got diabetes, or in common language we say sugar, right? And if we want to know if somebody got sugar, we can do this test. And if we do it, we can tell people whether they are about to get diabetes, that's called pre-diabetes. And if we find you during that period, then there's steps that you can take to prevent or delay yourself from getting diabetes.
The vouchers will be available at health centers countrywide. Meanwhile, there is another voucher available under the program which covers tests for the human papilloma virus, HPV, and if infected with the virus, one is at risk of developing cervical cancer.
Similarly, for children, those 18 years and younger, we have a set of tests, and we made them what we call age appropriate, right? So for newborns, there's a set of tests. For those between 7 days to 28 days, there's a different set of tests. And those who are 1 year, there's a different set of tests, 1 to 5, and so forth.
Andrew Carmichael, The Evening News.
The township of Linden in Region 10 returned to a state of normalcy today as families of the 2 men who were killed by police have urged residents to keep the peace, following a meeting with President Dr. Irvin Ali. Trishelle Sobers tells us more.
Restoration works commenced on Wednesday in the township of Linden, Region 10, following Tuesday's violent protests, which included the burning of tires on roadways and other public infrastructure, such as the Wisman-Mackenzie Bridge. Residents started protesting on Tuesday following the fatal police shooting of 21-year-old Ronaldo Peters, a resident of the community, on Monday afternoon. But during the protests on Tuesday, police officers opened fire in an attempt to tame the crowd, and as a result, 32-year-old Keon Fergnay was shot dead. As a result, the protests in the mining town had intensified. Later that evening, President Dr. Irvin Ali traveled to Linden, where he met with the grieving families and other stakeholders. The president offered his condolences and pledged a full support, partial and professional investigation into the killings. The head of state also emphasized that any police officers involved in the wrongdoing would be held accountable. The investigations into the incident are being conducted by the Office of Professional Responsibility with support from the regional security system. Additionally, the cops involved have been placed under close arrest.
So as I said, I met with the families today and I assured them that this will be an independent investigation led by the RSS in the shortest possible time. The terms of reference will be developed. They have specific questions that they will share with us. And the investigation would be independent, and that the recommendations and findings of those investigations will be respected. In close contact with both families, we'll be working with both families. There are children involved, there are mothers involved, and an important part of this is to ensure that the children, the mothers, and also the parents, that we also, their emotions, their pain, there is pain, and we have to work with all of them.
Meanwhile, family members of both victims had called for peace and restraint, expressing their commitment to waiting on the outcome of the investigation.
I'm in fear for both persons that died. I need justice for both parties because it's from the one street. Now, although I grew up within the area, same as my son, and I really need justice and help for my grandchildren. And the president assured me that he's going to do it, and I take his word. I'm begging for peace in the community, just for them to calm down.
I'm the cousin of the deceased that was shot yesterday by the police, and I just want to reassure the public that we're in full engagement with His Excellency, and that you guys should keep the peace in Linden here. And the president has pledged his full support for myself and my entire family of the deceased, and justice will be served in this situation.
21-year-old Ronaldo Peters was shot dead at around 17 hours 30 on Monday at 1 Mile West, Linden. The Guyana police force in a statement said Peters was wanted for rape. In this regard, the police said a sergeant from the Wisma police station received information that Peters was seen at Shabba Bar in the 1 Mile area. As a result, the sergeant, armed with a 9mm service pistol and another rank armed with a .38 service revolver, went to the location. Upon arrival at Shabba Shop, Peters was reportedly spotted. It is alleged that upon seeing the police ranks, he attempted to flee and tried to jump a nearby fence. According to police, the sergeant managed to pull Peters off the fence, and during the process of restraining him, his service pistol, held in his right hand, discharged, striking Peters. Peters was taken to the Mackenzie Public Hospital, where he later succumbed to his injuries while receiving treatment. Less than 24 hours later, protests escalated dramatically. As demonstrators set tires and blocked major routes, another man, Keon Dan Fergnay, a 32-year-old father of 4, was fatally shot by police. According to the Guyana Police Force, the shooting occurred during an attempt to disperse protesters who had turned violent, throwing missiles and damaging property. Trishelle Sobers, Evening News.
A 79-year-old man was injured this afternoon when a tree fell on his home in North Ramville, Georgetown. Details in this Luanda McAllister report.
A pensioner has received injuries while himself and 7 other family members have been displaced after a tree on a Wednesday afternoon fell and destroyed their house. The incident occurred at Lot 3793 Beaver Street, North Ramville, Georgetown. Some 8 persons, including 4 children, were residing in the 2-story building. The injured man, identified as 79-year-old Stadmund Rollins, was residing on the upper flat of the house. Reports indicate that he was at home when a massive plum tree from the nearby reservoir crashed onto the building, causing him to fall from the top floor and injure his foot. According to 64-year-old Cheryl Joseph, the sister-in-law of the injured man and the owner of the home, the incident occurred sometime after 13 hours.
Around 1:15, I was sleeping, and in the height of the sleeping, all of a sudden, squeaks like it was a bomb or something. So when I jump up, my granddaughter said, Granny, Granny, the plum tree fall down and fall on the house. I see the plum tree from the house and the whole back half come down, and my words was, I tell her, turn off the current, turn off the current. She said, Granny, I already turned it off.
Joseph, who has lived at the residence since the age of 14, said that despite repeated complaints to local authorities about the overgrown trees in the area, no action was taken. The house is situated next to a reservoir wherein sits an abandoned structure on an overgrown plot of land densely populated with trees and bushes. The impact of the falling tree caused significant damage to the family's home. Joseph said they do not know where to go from here.
I feel sad, heartbroken, all kind of stressed out. I don't know. It's real hard. I don't know.
As of 15 hours 10, when members of the media visited the scene, no ambulance had arrived to take Rollins to the hospital, despite residents saying they had contacted emergency services shortly after the incident occurred. Luanda McAllister for the Evening News.
Police have launched an investigation into the murder of 30-year-old Marissa Beat, an employee of the Culture, Youth and Sport Ministry, who was fatally shot at her home on Tuesday evening. Reports are that the incident occurred sometime between 18 hours 15 and 19 hours at Lot 706 Rec Dorsey, West Bank, Demerara. The suspect, 47-year-old Gali Khan, the owner of a private security company, is currently hospitalized with what investigators believe to be a self-inflicted gunshot wound to the head. Police said that preliminary investigations revealed that Beat and Khan had been in a romantic relationship for the past 2 years. However, the relationship reportedly ended recently due to a misunderstanding. According to reports, at around 16 hours 15 on Tuesday, Beat was at home with her 62-year-old mother when she received a phone call from Khan, who expressed a desire to speak with her. Despite her mother's warnings, Beat allowed the man into the home. The mother told investigators that she gave the pair privacy by moving to the back of the house. Not long after, she heard her daughter call out "Mommy," followed by the sound of a gunshot. Rushing to the living room, the woman discovered her daughter slumped on the ground, bleeding from a wound to the head. She also saw Khan standing nearby holding what appeared to be a firearm. The grieving mother recounted that she attempted to disarm the suspect, during which another shot was discharged in an unknown direction. Khan then allegedly shoved her to the floor and turned the weapon on himself, shooting himself once in the head. Public-spirited citizens rushed both Beat and Khan to the West Demerara Regional Hospital. Beat was pronounced dead on arrival. Khan remains under medical supervision. Khan was arrested back in 2020 after arriving at the John F. Kennedy International Airport in New York for cocaine trafficking. He was later convicted and sentenced to 10 years in prison in the U.S. before being deported to Guyana. He, however, only served 18 months in prison after striking a plea deal with U.S. law enforcement officials. We now tell you the two bandits were last evening shot dead by a security guard when they attempted to rob a Chinese-owned supermarket located on Hatfield Street in Georgetown. Dead are 15-year-old Tyrese Adams of Pineapple Street, East Rhymeveld, and 22-year-old Erwin Garway of 595 East Rhymeveld housing scheme. The young perpetrators were part of a group of 4 men who attempted to rob the establishment, but according to the police, the other 2, who were reportedly on watch outside the supermarket, escaped on foot. Police said at around 19 hours 30, the 2 young men with black ski masks covering their faces and guns in their hands entered the business place. One of the suspects went to the cashier booth situated on the eastern side, while another suspect went to the cashier booth on the western side of the supermarket. One of them pointed his firearm at the male cashier and demanded that he hand over the money, while the other ransacked the other cashier's booth. At this time, the armed security guard emerged from inside the supermarket and confronted the bandits, both of whom started running in an attempt to escape. However, the security guard reportedly opened fire on the bandits. According to the police, one of the suspects fell to the ground inside the supermarket, while the other ran out of the supermarket and fell onto the road. Police said Garway sustained suspect gunshot wounds to his right and left side ribs, hands, nose, and right shoulder, while Adams sustained suspected gunshot wounds to his upper right shoulder, stomach, one to his lower back and left hip. Investigations are ongoing. Coming up, U.S. announces 90-day pause on reciprocal tariffs and GRA to answer for underestimated taxes on Mohammed's luxury vehicles, says Attorney General. Do stay with us. More news ahead.
Tough dirt and grime, not a problem with the DeWalt 2100 electric pressure washer, available now at sylviesonline.com. This compact yet powerful pressure washer delivers 2100 psi for deep, effective cleaning. It comes fully equipped with a turbo nozzle for stubborn grime, multiple nozzles for precision, a soap nozzle for detergent, a 25-feet hose for extended reach, and an easy-to-handle wand. Perfect for cleaning cars, patios, and more. The DeWalt pressure washer combines power and portability in one. Find it now at sylviesonline.com. Don't wait! Visit sylviesonline.com today and bring home the DeWalt 2100 electric pressure washer. Power, precision, and performance in every clean. sylviesonline.com, your partner in productivity.
Premier insurance coverage for less. Stay safe. For bid, performance, retention, advanced mobilisation or customs bonds, bond with us. Fuel your success. Call 223 0840 or visit premierinsurance.gy. Premier Insurance. Premier insurance coverage.
Looking to bring your dream home to reality? Or simply taking on a home improvement project? Then National Hardware Limited is where you should start. Let us put that touch to your home. Choose from over 1,000 Berger Paint original hues for any surface. We are known for our trusted brands such as Westinghouse, Philips, Sadco, Rubbermaid, Pyrex, Gibson Home, and so much more. National Hardware Limited, your do-it-best store. Located in downtown Georgetown and industrial site Rhymeville.
Welcome back. You're watching the Evening News. United States President Donald Trump on Wednesday announced a 90-day pause on all the reciprocal tariffs that went into effect earlier today against dozens of countries around the world, including Guyana. With the exception of China, which is now facing a further increase of 125%, the pause will allow for the U.S. government to negotiate with the other countries that are seeking to reduce the tariffs. In the meantime, however, a 10% blanket duty on almost all U.S. imports will remain in place, according to the White House. There have been widespread concerns over the 38% tariff that the U.S. had announced against local products going there in response to a 76% tariff that Guyana imposes on U.S. products coming here. Last week, Vice President Dr. Barry Jagdeo assured local exporters that there is no need to panic, saying that the Guyana government is engaging U.S. authorities on the matter. He also explained that 3 of Guyana's top 10 exports to the U.S., petroleum, crude, gold, and aluminum, are exempted from the 38% reciprocal tariffs. The Vice President had noted too that there were some discrepancies on the UN Comtrade reports that was used to set the increased tariff rate, assuring that government will work with the U.S. on clarifying this information. Another negotiating factor to be used is the fact that Guyana's largest export crude is produced by U.S. companies, ExxonMobil and Hess Corporation. Meanwhile, while noting that the Guyana Revenue Authority would have to provide answers for its initial underestimation of taxes for the importation of luxury vehicles by the Mohammed's family several years ago, Attorney General Anil Nandlal has explained that the tax body is empowered to conduct a post-audit on the transactions in an attempt to recover revenues owed to the state. Vanu Manikchand reports.
GRA always has and always had a power to review the assessment of duties and taxes. It is called a post-audit power. It is in the law, and any businessman who has had any relationship with the Guyana Revenue Authority would know of that power.
That was Attorney General Anil Nandlal speaking during his program Issues in the News about the Guyana Revenue Authority's move to seize several luxury vehicles belonging to the U.S.-sanctioned Mohammed's family over some $1.2 billion in taxes owed and breaches of the Remigrant Scheme Initiative. GRA is claiming $479.7 million for a 2020 Ferrari registered to Hannah Mohammed, $371.7 million for a 2020 Lamborghini Roadster titled to Azruddin Mohammed, and $320 million for a 2023 Rolls-Royce registered to Bibi Mohammed. Additional taxes include $61.4 million for a 2023 Range Rover under Leslie Khan's name and $24.6 million each for 2 Toyota Land Cruisers also registered to Azruddin Mohammed. According to Nandlal, it was Azruddin Mohammed who drew GRA's attention to his family's underpayment of taxes when he made a post on social media that prompted an investigation. The Attorney General added that the tax agency would also have to answer for its underestimation of duties for the importation of the luxury vehicles.
GRA will have to explain, and some officer who did that assessment will have to explain why the assessment was done in the way that it was done. But that doesn't prevent the GRA from reviewing the situation. The GRA going after vehicles that were brought in to the country under different concessions is also not a new phenomenon. Whether it's a remigrant scheme type duty-free concession, or whether it is a duty-free concession or a tax concession granted under different circumstances, GRA carry out random investigations in relation to these matters. And not even random. They carry out investigations to investigate these matters.
Efforts by GRA agents on Saturday last to take possession of the luxury vehicles after failure of the Mohammeds to resolve the matter amicably were obstructed by an angry mob. The Mohammeds subsequently secured a temporary court order to block the tax agency from taking possession of the vehicles. Meanwhile, Nandlal used the opportunity to debunk allegations that he, along with Vice President Dr. Bar Jagdeo, had threatened to send the GRA after the vehicles if Azruddin did not publicly denounce his political aspirations.
Minister of Agriculture Zulfikar Mustafa has called on fisherfolk to find ways to diversify their earnings amid complaints of low catches and unstable market prices for their commodity. Find out more from Andrew Carmichael.
Addressing fishers at Chitanka in Region 6 recently, Agriculture Minister Zulfikar Mustafa pointed out that the government has invested hundreds of millions of dollars in the fishing sector, and a number of fishing ports and landing sites have been upgraded. He pointed out that the government recognizes the importance of the fishing sector and its importance to the economy. The sector employs approximately 18,000 persons directly. During the engagement with the fisherfolk, one of the issues they said was affecting them is low catches over the past 2 years, which has been affecting their livelihoods. In response, the Agriculture Minister noted that his ministry partnered with the Food and Agriculture Organization of the United States, that is, the FAO, and carried out a study to find out the reason for the reduction in catches.
In that study, when you read it, you will see that the fresh water coming from the Amazon, and because of the freshness of the water and the salinity reduced, the fish moved to different grounds, fishing grounds. And that was the main reason.
Meanwhile, the minister said there's a need for fishers to get into other activities. About 80 fishers operate at sea from the New Amsterdam Kanji area. They were told that they cannot only depend on one activity for a livelihood. In this regard, Mustafa said his ministry is ready to work with them.
And as Minister of Agriculture, I am prepared to work along with you to go into other activities, not to leave fishing. Fishing will be one of the activities, but we will work along with you to go into other activities so that you can improve your livelihood. So that when you got low catches when you got low catches, you can go to the alternative activity that we're talking about.
The minister urged the fishers to form themselves into 4 groups and cultivate brackish water shrimp. The ministry will work closely with each group, he said. The production of brackish water shrimp in Region 6 has moved from 10,000 kilograms monthly to 100,000 kilograms. Mustafa said efforts will be made to acquire land, and his ministry will dig the pond for the fishers. He also urged that the fishers get into other forms of agriculture.
Who want to go into crop farming? We can work along with you to help develop a small plot so that you can work and plant your own vegetables and got some to sell in the market. We can supply all the planting material, chemical, show you how to do it. I can get Nari to work along with you all. This thing is not only one activity, let me be frank with you all. You know. We as a government, this PPP government, we want to empower you. That is why when you have an issue, we come and we listen to you and we bring alternative ideas, how we can improve your life.
For the evening news, Andrew Carmichael.
The Human Services and Social Security Ministry is working on a number of initiatives aimed at addressing gaps in the delivery of social services to hinterland communities. Michael Henry tells us more.
The Human Services Ministry, in conjunction with the University of Guyana, will this year be offering a training program where people in the hinterland and remote locations can benefit from employment in the social services sector in order to better tend to the needs of those communities. This was revealed by Human Services Minister Dr. Vindhya Prasad during an event on Monday.
People say, what are you doing for the hinterland communities? We have these programs in the hinterland. There is a social services mobile unit in Region 1, which has all the services of the ministry, and we are going to be populating that mobile unit so that it can offer the same services that it's a first-time occurrence. And to complement that, the ministry is offering a para-professional training program where people in the hinterland and in remote communities can be employed by us and will be trained on the job through the University of Guyana to provide social services in those areas.
This, she stated, is aimed towards tackling a long-existing situation.
That's a big step, and it's tackling something that has long existed, a gap in the areas where we need social service and social workers. And the social worker bill too will be completed this year, and that will regulate social workers rather. So a lot of things, and I hope that you will keep abreast of us.
Meanwhile, Minister Prasad emphasized that her ministry continues to work countrywide on the various initiatives to improve the delivery of social services to citizens.
One of the things that happened in addition to all of the work we've been doing before is the support network for survivors. And so currently we've been working with 200 of these survivors as we rolled out this program early in this year. From 2022 to 2024, we have directly intervened in 4,367 cases. The support for criminal justice system would have been also complementary in what we do, because we have intervened in 3,387 of those cases that come to us. Referrals. Now, referrals could include anything from us referring to a police station, someone for counseling, someone for mental health support, all of these things. We have referred 1,003 cases.
Michelle Henry, The Evening News.
And now for a look at the bridge reports.
The Demerara Harbour Bridge will be closed to vehicular traffic on Thursday, April 10, 2025 at 3 hours 30 for a period of 1.5 hours. Meanwhile, the Berry River Bridge will be closed to vehicular traffic on Thursday, April 10, 2025 at 15 hours for a period of 1.5 hours.
Wendy's women falter even after Matthew's all-round brilliance, and AAG unveils 42-member Crafted Games team. These stories and more coming up in this evening's Sportcast, sponsored by MacCorp.
Did you know that Gassie's Jet A1 fuel is a type of aviation fuel specially formulated for turbine engines? Jet A1 fuel is safer to handle and transport than any other fuel types due to its high flash point and low volatility. It also boasts a high energy content, enhancing aircraft performance and efficiency. So whether traveling for business or pleasure, choose Guy's Jet A1 fuel for a safe, reliable, and efficient flight.
Looking to bring your dream home to reality? Or simply taking on a home improvement project? Then National Hardware Limited is where you should start. Let us put that touch to your home. Choose from over 1,000 Berger Paint original hues for any surface. We are known for our trusted brands such as Westinghouse, Philips, Sadco, Rubbermaid, Pyrex, Gibson Home, and so much more. National Hardware Limited, your do-it-best store. Located in downtown George,